So it had been a while since I saw the original 1984 Toxic Avenger film. I mean, I know I had seen it, but it had definitely been a while. And so after rewatching it, I hadn't seen the second or the third one sequels. Didn't even know there was a musical, had no idea there was a cartoon. All that is pretty cool, but I just wanted to see the original one, make sure I saw the original one again before, of course, went and saw the new unrated Toxic Avenger. And I gotta say, it wasn't that good. I don't think it held a candle to the original. I think the original was definitely a movie of its time, but I think that it's just way more outrageous and shocking and fun than this movie was. And to be fair, I mean, Peter Dinklage as the title character, I did think that was going to be interesting. I was like, oh my gosh, because of course it makes sense why his Toxic Avenger is more accepting when things hit the fan later in the film. But when he was a 6 foot tall hulking brute that doesn't speak, that just growls, obviously he's gonna freak a lot of people out. This Toxic Avenger here was a little person. It's a dwarf, I get it, but I mean, I was expecting more like hilarious, like running around, it's just a little Toxic Avenger. It's funny, mini Toxie. I was excited, and to see what they did with it is just like, all right, whatever. I mean, it could have been better. To be fair, it's not even Peter Dinklage in the prosthetics. It's this other actress, his double, Luisa Guerrero, and then he's dubbed over her, but she's the one in the prosthetics. She's the one running around doing all the stunts in a sense, and it's just kind of ridiculous that he's not the one under the suit. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of weird. But so the film follows Peter Dinklage's character Winston, and he works for this evil pharmaceutical company run by Bob, played by Kevin Bacon, and he ends up pretty much being at the wrong place at the wrong time with the worst boss, and he ends up being, of course, tossed into toxic waste. I mean, they say it's not a remake or a reboot, but it's very much so the Toxic Avenger story. Yeah, it might be a different original style or screenplay based off of the story of the Toxic Avenger, so it's not necessarily original. But in the 84 one, it was so cool watching him become the Toxic Avenger. Is that kind of like American Werewolf in London transformation of just this slow, painful transformation into something more grotesque, and it was just awesome. In this one, they literally dunk his body in the sewer, and not the sewer, in this giant pool of waste, and then as he's floating in the waste, it's all trippy, and he's just getting turned into the Toxic Avenger through color, but he's not actually becoming him. I mean, I think for a second they show him kind of like melting, but it's not. It would have been better to actually see it and see some prosthetics. I mean, he does get shot in the face right beforehand, which was actually very crazy. I was not expecting that, but damn, they do shoot him in the face and then dump his body in the waste. And it is crazy. And then after he becomes the Toxic Avenger, in the very next scene, he tries to go back home. He's a stepfather. He's got his son. His wife passed. His son and him don't have the best relationship. I mean, his son's name is Wade. Winston and Wade. I don't know why they're not best friends, but whatever. And of course, his son sees him, freaks out because he thinks who is this alien freak trying to get into the house? And then when he later finds out, it's again, he is a lot more accepting as the mini Toxic Avenger versus the 6 foot tall, brooding, growling Hulk of an Avenger that was in the original movies. This guy is this little Hasbro toy. I don't know. I could totally see toys being made of him. Pretty sure there were toys being made of the original. I mean, there's a cartoon, so I'm pretty sure there are some merchandising opportunities. And this one, I mean, it's very, very easy. I could see it happening, or at least some statue figurines. Very, very sure. Now, of course, it follows the same story beats, obviously, almost to the T from the original, where he then comes into this Mexican-style restaurant and then saves everybody, just like the original. But the original was way more shocking. The scene was way more crazy and outlandish, whereas this one's a lot more pulled back. There's gore and blood and all that, but they said they had to tone it down and made it unrated, and I feel like we should have saw the director's cut, because I feel like this version wasn't that crazy. I mean, yeah, there's kills and he racks himself up a little body count, but it's not outrageous. But other than that, the whole climax of the film is kind of ridiculous, right? You got this band called the Killer Nuts that's a mix between Rage Against the Machines, Limp Bizkit, and the Beastie Boys, that end up being being these hitmen also for the pharmaceutical company, because I guess between the toxic waste dumping that they do and whatever the shit that they're dealing with, they need, hitmen, which ends up being this band ran by this character Fritz, played by Elijah Wood, who is awesome as this just quiet penguin-esque character. And they end up kind of being the reason that Winston becomes a Toxic Avenger. These are just some of the people that must be killed. The whole body count is mostly this band. And it's just kind of boring, it wasn't really that exciting or intriguing. It's kind of like they're also very much Insane Clown Posse-ish, so it's like, I don't mind seeing fools like that go down. I would have liked to see more crime stopped or happen, like in the original where he's just helping people cross the street. It was just funny. And it was interesting and different. You already knew what was going to happen, but again, he's just more accepting, and because he's a little person, he's a dwarf, and then it's also like because this pharmaceutical company is so bad, that's where you're really focusing on, like you need him to take this company down. But anyway, so later after he gets captured because the pharmaceutical company realizes that he's like a threat, and he's made of toxic waste that they've dumped. They end up kidnapping his son to get him, they lure him there. Kevin Bacon's character ends up kidnapping him, steals his blood, his like toxic blood, or they capture him, should I say. They capture they siphon out his blood, and Kevin Bacon decides to drink it because he's like, oh, whatever's making this toxic guy toxic, I want to be like that, but it'll make me better because I'm a sexier character, I guess is what he's thinking, because I don't know why he would think of drinking that way. Could easily just flatline him, but he drinks it and he becomes Krampus. He literally becomes Krampus. Like, they should have had this movie come out further towards Christmas, towards mid-November, and had Krampus actually be the villain of the Toxic Avenger. That would have been hilarious. I could see it putting these two great franchises together. It's also ironic where his characters like hated Christmas. He's always dumping stuff during Christmas, and what does he turn into? Of course, Krampus, when he drinks the toxic blood. But anyway, they have this whole stupid fight at the end, and he's got an axe, and Toxie's got his little mop staff that glows because it's toxic, and it is so dumb. He ends up being stabbed to the chest. You think he's dead, but he's not. He survives. Everyone cheers for him. His son loves him again. There's this whole running gag where his eye keeps falling out and he can keep pushing it in because of the bullet wound probably, but it's just like everyone just kind of turns away the fact that this guy is like forever either going to be a science experiment or the laughingstock of the city. But I guess they treat him as like the Thing from Fantastic Four, where it's like, oh, he's just the Thing. He's just walking down the street. It's no big deal. We know who he is. You know what I mean? It was weird. It was weird. I didn't really care for it. It was whatever. I would definitely say just the original is a lot better. It's a lot funnier. It's a lot like it makes you gasp, makes you cringe. Like everything you wanted this one to be, the original one does, and it's just so much better. And Toxie gets his thing going. He gets his thing on with the blind chick. In this one, I think there was a blind chick, but it turns out to be like a member of the police squad, or like the police chief. It's like this black lady, but like I don't think she's blind. I think she's just trying to be that stone cold of a badass, but they don't really say that she is or she isn't, so I don't know.
In this, there's a blind woman. She's a black woman that's also the police detective who's caught up in the diner, but she's really underutilized, and I think that was because they were afraid.
But yeah, Toxic Avenger 2025, definitely not one of the better Toxic Avenger movies, and that's without seeing the second and third one. So I guess I'll have to watch those and watch the musical, watch the cartoon, just so I can really make a definitive choice on if this is better or worse. But it seems like it's kind of worse. But yeah, Toxic Avenger, it was what it was. I would go see Caught Stealing. I would recommend that. It was way better of a movie. It was awesome. But Toxic Avenger, I'll pass. Don't need to watch it again for sure. But yeah, this has been Ghost in the Craig. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. And don't litter. Don't dump any toxins into lakes and stuff, because we don't need little ridiculous wasted out birds either. That was weird. That bird was weird. But anyway, yeah, have a fantastic rest of your night. Peace.